Terra Troopers, it is me, Tara, and I'm here to talk about Ransom Canyon. Netflix dropped a little cowboy soap opera on us, and do we think it's more of a yeehaw or a yawn? And I'll get to that. I think it's critics are going to say yawn, but audience, I think, are going to be like, yeehaw! Because I'll tell you, I started out with this, right? Thinking like, here's what it gives us. Here's what I wrote down. It gives us a Southern Charm vibe. There's chemistry, which I'll get into, between Josh and Minka. Like, is it a guilty pleasure? Yeah, probably. Probability factor, it's in there. Also, I'm like, the visuals and the vibe, though, are good. Meaning, like, the Southern Charm vibe of this show. If you are looking for a show that is a mix between Yellowstone and a little bit of Landman, basically anything that Taylor Sheridan wrote, but a little bit at a lower level, that is this show. That's Ransom Canyon. Now, what I will say, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. Okay, I think it's out. Sorry. Nope, it's not. Maybe now it is. Keep rolling. The show must go on. Okay. So here's what I think. Obviously, Yellowstone has been doing really well. All of Taylor Sheridan's shows have been great. It's great writing, and it's a lot grittier than this show. Now, here's what I will tell you. Once you get to episode 8, that's when it gets like where the grittiness should be. It starts to pick up, but it is a slow burn, especially in the beginning, where I can obviously call out every plot line, right? I mean, it's just easy to go like, oh yeah, she's going to do this. And it's a lot of like, will they, won't they? I love you. I don't love you. I can't. I absolutely cannot, but I do still love you. Nope, we can't do this, but I'll always be in love with you. Like, it's a lot of lingering stares and some really solid, like there's some solid porch sitting in this, which is, it's good. It's good. Okay. Now, here's what I'll say. The actors are good. It's just that they're given a script that's like soap opera-y, but I'm going to tell you that I got kind of addicted after, cause I'd sit there and I make fun of it and I'd just be like, oh God, what do you think he's going to say to that? Like, I'm sitting here talking to myself. Like, I'm responding to the characters, and that made it fun. And I do think that this show, I am not surprised that it was one of the most watched shows last week, right? It was #1 on Netflix for a while because Josh Duhamel and Minka Kelly, like their chemistry, they hold down this show because with the will they, won't they? That's what everybody wants to know, because when they get together on screen, you want them to juice it. You're like, come on, man, let's get to it, you know? And of course, there's characters that stand in the way. I think that the one character that is like dating Minka Kelly's character before she goes for Josh's character, he's good. He's kind of like plays the villain, but I go back and forth on him where I'm like, I think he's good. Like everyone is believable. I'm just wondering if that casting for him to be the villain was the smartest choice. I'm not sure. But I will tell you, when I thought a really good plot point, which I thought when it gets gritty and it reminds me of Taylor Sheridan. The thing is the writing and the direction from Taylor Sheridan is just, it's more high level, and he takes it to places that are more real. There's more cursing, there's more like nudity, right? It's harsher language, which to me is more realistic in this Southern Western setting. Even though they're giving us that Southern charming vibe, which is like, this is more of a soap opera versus Yellowstone and like Landman is more like a dramatic TV shows, right? Now I would say that it does start slow and it is very predictable. But if you have fun with its predictability, like, oh yeah, he's going to ride off, he's about to die, like, then it's kind of fun. You just call it out, right? And I also think that the vibe, like what I wrote down is that the small town Texas energy that it promises sort of in this series, I think it feels, I think it captures some authenticity about it. It does only utilize like a few locations, which is probably why they got the sort of the name actors to be in it. And they're not spending a ton of money on a lot of locations. We're really just moving between a few houses and like a plot of land and then Minka Kelly's bar, right? And some of the kids' houses. But so far, I feel like the best parts of this is when Josh tells Minka, he's like, I've loved you. And like before, it was like 2 episodes before, she's like, I've loved you always. And then he's like, we can't do this. Or she says, we can't do this. And he leaves and he juices it with Minka Kelly's boyfriend's ex-wife. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't write down any of the characters' name. I just wrote down the actors' names. When they juice it in the car, that is when I go, yes, why didn't we start with this kind of energy at the top? Because I really do feel like, sure, a slow burn is good, but the grittiness that we get to later in this series, and again, I'm not done with it yet, is the one thing that's kept me hanging on. Because I really just, in the few episodes at the beginning, I was just sort of playing it in the background while I'm like doing my makeup or my hair. And I just thought like, oh, this is fun. You know, it's like a soap opera, obviously. We're not going to this for like really great writing or like a twist and turn we didn't see coming. Like, you can see them coming, you know? But I do feel like the connection between Josh and Minka, it is on par with a Netflix drama and not just like Hallmark movie, which is good. I feel like I wrote down, I'm like, is it even a Netflix drama if at least one person doesn't dramatically stare into the distance while holding a glass of whiskey? Because that's what they do a lot in this. It's a lot of whiskey, looking at it, thinking about your life, putting it down, and then moving on. You know, it's a lot of that. And I'm like, but here's the thing. I feel like Minka Kelly could read a grocery list and of items on it, and I would still feel like how I would feel when she gives like a heartfelt monologue about lost love. You know, like that's just her vibe. That's her area. Her area is like putting her into that. She's a beautiful woman and her vibe is like romantic lead, but also she fits very well, I think, into this series. And obviously, Josh playing a rugged cowboy is a lot of people's fantasy. Like, I'm just going to say, because like he's looking good as a rugged cowboy, but like we all know he's never fixed a fence in his life, but he's doing a good job. He's making it seem like he has fixed a fence. You look at him and you're like, I think he fixes fences and he ropes in cattle and he wears cowboy hats every day. We all know he doesn't, he's just an actor, but I feel it coming off him. I'm like, okay, I see you. Getting on this Western juice. What else did I write down? I was like, because I've been watching Farmer Wants a Wife. So I wrote down like when your mom picks your girlfriend and it's somehow less awkward than when you do it yourself. Like, welcome to Ransom Canyon. Like, that's what it is. And what else? I feel like, when you watch this from the beginning, just keep in mind that if you are just, you could do stuff, you know, and have it play in the background. Just like pay attention to the plot points. There are some that you're like, wait, what just happened? There's a lot of stuff that happens with the kids, right? I mean, we learned from the beginning, Josh lost his son and like he has this nephew, but the nephew is like, the dad is, they're fighting and there's, I'm literally just going to say the cheerleader and then the other blonde kid and his brother. his older brother, Kit, he's effed up, right? And they take you through this series of like, who killed the kid? Right. And that's the one little twist that I was like, I don't really, what's going to happen here? Like, okay, they discover the truck. It's this truck that killed the son, but like, who is it? And I just thought I'd be able to easily figure it out. And nope, I did not see it coming. Because at first, when they show you a pickup, they kind of do a bait and switch of the nephew turning the car in, like he's caught on a camera. And in my brain, I just went, yep, of course he did it. It's the cousin. He's hiding it. He feels guilty. And then you realize, like, no, he didn't do it, right? It's the cheerleader's mom. And I'm not even done with it. And I was like, I did not see that coming, but it makes complete sense. That is like the one plot point that I'm like, this is a good bait and switch. And the fact that they put the cheerleader's mom, who's obviously a drunk, who like is not a good mom, and she just like left writing her a goodbye note. It's like, got to get out of here. Like, she's an addict, right? She has issues. I'm not surprised that in the past, right, with Josh's son dying, he's still trying to figure out who ran his son off the road. That sadly, it's the cheerleader's mom. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. So they set her up to be an addict. Okay, got it. And this guy, Kit, was in love with her. They were juicing it, and he's like trying to cover for her, right? Because he's already been in and out of jail before. So that plot point I do really like. I find that intriguing. I think the other part about between now that we have like Josh and Minka together, I think that it's funny to me. I'm very intrigued as to what's going to happen because her boyfriend, again, I know the villain guy, I didn't write the characters' names down. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, that guy. We know who I'm talking about. Her boyfriend guy, who she has not told about her and Josh's character, that I think we'll just call him the villain. I think the situation with him in looking at Minka Kelly's bracelet and then noticing that Josh Duhamel's character has the same bracelet, and then she goes to break up with him, but then it's like not a good time, and I'm like, oh, it's so soap opera-y, right? Because he notices the bracelet, and now she's not going to have time to tell the truth, and he's going to figure it out, and I just wonder, like, oh, how's that all going to go down, right? Because he's like the villain of the show, and he keeps stabbing everybody in the back, including the other guy who comes in and is Cap's grandson, right? And then he falls for the girl who lives there. Again, I don't know their names. You got to get over it. But overall, I like their relationship too. Like, it's very soap opera-y because, like, in the first episode, Cap's grandson comes to work on the farm. He takes off his shirt, and that girl's like, you know, it's like that. Like, oh, I'm just catch a peek. But really, it's not until like episode 7, 8, 9 we get some real like actual partial nudity and some actual juicing. That's the difference between Taylor Sheridan, Yellowstone, and all the other stuff, is that Yellowstone or Landman or any Taylor Sheridan shows would go there immediately. Like, it wouldn't be this much of a slow burn. And I think it would be, obviously, you wouldn't be able to call the plot points. And so people comparing it to Yellowstone, I totally understand it. Like, people like Yellowstone and they want to see more of it, more of the Westerns that we haven't been getting in the last like decade, or well, more than a decade. In a while, we haven't got a lot of Westerns, right? And Yellowstone brought that to the forefront. And I just think what they could do more of would be to make it not so predictable. But then again, Netflix is like Virgin River. Everybody loves that, right? We watch it, and you're like, this is something you can play in the background. And it's just like nice, and it's like sweet and whatever. And there's obviously drama points to it, but it still has that predictability. It's that soap opera feel that I feel like I am of the category of the person who watches so many movies and TV that in every movie that I watch on The Real Rejects, like it's like I can most 75% of the time call a plot point that's coming. Then there's like a 40% of the time I'm completely wrong. But with this show, I'm curious if Netflix is like, listen, it can't be smarter than this. Otherwise, we'll lose an audience. But then again, I'm like, I don't think you will, because Yellowstone was like one of the biggest shows, right? I guess maybe Netflix is just like, we're going to stick to this pattern of soap opera-y type show because it's what makes sense for them and what works. And that is what every EP would say on like when you make a movie. They're just like, follow the trope. And you're like, yeah, but if you want it to be good, we need to like not follow the trope fully. Like we need to break off the blueprint a little bit, break into it, rip it apart. But I feel like, I mean, if you took a sip, a sip of beer, sip of whiskey, every time somebody said, I need some air, or I got to ride and think about it, or or storms out of a room, like you wouldn't make it through an episode. I'll tell you that right now. And I feel like because you can see these moments coming, it makes it almost a comedy, which I love. Because you could just kind of laugh like, oh God, she's going to storm out again. They got to add that drama with storming out. But I just wanted to talk about this because I want to talk about more about the shows that I'm watching. But I have not fallen into a lot of scripted stuff lately because you guys know that I've been covering a lot of reality for you guys. But this is one that I have fallen into of like me just watching it, like I said, when I do my hair and my makeup. And I have totally like fallen for it where I go, I feel like I want to finish Ransom Canyon. So I guess you could add me to the category of someone who likes a good soap opera. And even though this is corny and predictable, I do think it's more of a yeehaw and less of a yawn. But you have to get through. Trust me, later in the episode, you'll get the juice. It'll feel like the pacing picks up and you get the drama and you get that chemistry. And it's less of a slow burn as it is in the beginning. But I think that just because Josh and Minka Kelly are in it, it keeps people holding on until this show really picks up later in the episodes. I love it when Josh is like, he starts juicing it in the car with his friend's ex-wife. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think this show would go there. It does. And then we see Cap's grandson with the girl that he likes that works at the bar. They start juicing it. They get naked. You see his full-on boonda. He's got a good boonda. And I was like, oh, okay, we are sort of in that territory where we're doing like some nudity. Like it's not anything like HBO, but they're definitely taking a step further than I thought they would take. Because I was like, is it just going to be a bunch of guys taking their shirt off and girls like long lingering looks after them, but there's no juicing that's going to happen? But then finally, juicing does go down, especially when it happens between Josh and Minka. You're like, oh, what? This is so great. Because you want them to get together. Their chemistry is really great on screen. But I love it when it finally went there, because then we're getting into the gritty stuff that I think what people are looking for. That kind of drama that's like, don't hide or make it too polite, like make it gritty, right? If we want a drama, we want like where there's gonna be harsh language. There's gonna be people like probably cheating on people. You're gonna see some nudity. There's gonna be some twists and turns that maybe you didn't see calling. And there's one, like I said, with a car accident. I don't know. I didn't see that coming as to who was involved or who would be the actual person driving the car who killed Josh Duhamel's son. I did not see that coming. But I think also with the kids stuff, the kids drama, like boyfriend, girlfriend, and then she's like, I got to date him because my dad likes him. And then she dates the other kid and they have a pinky swear and they're like, we're getting out of this town together. But of course we know that this stuff is going to happen in this show to break them apart. And the last thing that I just saw was that the cheerleader girl sees the blonde-headed kid, and I'm sorry, I'm like, I didn't write the characters' names down, but you guys know, if you've watched the show, you know what I'm talking about. That the blonde cheerleader sees the blonde kid that she's been dating, but they had like a little bit of a riff. She is at the top of a pyramid, and she's ready to like go into a jump or whatever, and she sees him and goes like, what? And then falls. And that to me, I'm like, oh my God. That part was just so melodramatic that I'm like, really? Do you really think that? But it's fine. I'll give it to it, right? This is the soap opera option, melodramatic part of the show that I'm like, do we need to have that in there? Or could we have done that a smarter way, right? I think another thing they could have done a smarter way is when the Cap's grandson and the girl that he's like dating, the girl has lived with Cap for years and years before this grandson even came into town. And she goes, don't come at me and tell me you love me. And she's like, also Cap left me hanging for lunch and now I have you around here. And the kid goes, Cap would never leave you hanging for lunch. There's a problem. And then he storms out and then go to try and find him. And I'm like, guys, come on. The girl has lived with Cap for way longer. This grandson's been around for a few weeks. And I'm like, couldn't you just made it that the girl is not like dumb? You just write it so that she's like, I don't have time for you right now because something's wrong because Cap stood me up for lunch. He would never do that. I know him. And then she storms out and he goes to help her. That's what I would have preferred. And I would have been okay to still have that scene of the grandson crying when he finds Cap. He's like, Cap, come on, we got to get back. And it's a pretty scene, right? Cap has a cowboy hat on, his head's down. The grandson doesn't know he's dead, but we all knew it was going to happen. That is one of the predictable points that I'm like, couldn't they have made it a little less predictable so that it was more of like, oh my God, he's dead. But like we all knew that because Cap and Josh's character have a talk, and Josh says, don't you want to tell the grandson that you didn't mean to kick out his mom and just tell him the truth? And Cap's like, I'm too old for that. And like, I'll think about it. And Cap's like, I'm sorry. Josh goes, you're going to regret it if you don't tell him. And Cap goes, I need to go on a ride and think about it. And you're like, of course, when someone goes, you're going to regret it. And like for the rest of your life or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to go on a ride and think about it. And he's old. I'm like, oh, he's going to go on the ride and he's going to get hurt or he's going to die. I already saw that coming. But I still thought that it was sweet when, the grandson finds him and he like tears up and then they place him on the other side of the tree sitting there thinking about his life. It's a nice shot. It's a nice picture. But I really would not have minded if the girl who had lived with Cap for years and years and years before this grandson came along, if she was the one that started the charge off to go find Cap. Like she knows Cap more than this grandson who just showed up. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that bugs me, but I realize why they're doing it for the plot points where they need it to go. They need the grandson to be like, I never got to tell him like that, I'm his grandson, even though like Cap kind of knew, like he knew, but like the grandson didn't get to actually tell him like, I'm not here to screw you over. I actually like care and whatever. Right. It's a lot of loose ends and Cap dies. I get it. But it's parts like that I just go, why, if they are trying to make a Taylor Sheridan show, make it a little bit smarter to where the twists and turns you don't necessarily see coming that easily. But then again, I'm like, maybe the rest of whoever is watching this, like 80% of the audience doesn't see it coming. I don't know how if you watch enough TV. But again, I am more a professional in this business. I mean, I am an actor. I've been in films. I've done a bunch of commercial, like I've been in this world, right? I watch movies and TV for a living. So it's like, of course I can call out plot points, but I just feel like the stuff in here and the predictability, everybody can. That's how I feel. But what they do a good job of and why I think you should still watch it is I need you to let me know in the comments if you agree with me that I feel like they could have squished episodes 1 through 5 into 2 or 3 episodes to where then they get to where Josh is sleeping with the girl in the car, and then it gets to the twister, and then the drama really sets where now we got people juicing, we got nudity, we've got stuff going down, people fighting. The kid is like, he might go to jail. Did he kill that other kid? We don't know. Stuff is coming out. Then I'm like, they could have gotten there faster. And again, I'm not done yet, so I'll give a review once I'm fully done. But I wanted to talk about the show. Because I just want to hear your guys' thoughts, because I'm really liking watching it, because as you know, I'm not giving a ton of reviews on my channel about the shows that I'm watching besides the reality stuff. But this kind of fits in with like the love theme, you know, because you guys love my Love Island reactions and the love stuff. So I assume that some of you guys are also watching Ransom Canyon. And if you're not, I'd like you to just whatever, start and leave me comments. No spoilers, though. If you've gotten to the end, just don't like add any spoilers, even though I'm pretty sure I know it's coming. But any Hoosier, I hope that you guys like this review. I just want to come on and talk to you about this because I just thought it was funny, and I don't think I wrote any other good notes in here except that, like, it's funny to me how mixed it is. You know, Metacritic is like, the critics give it 45%, but like audience scores like 75. And I feel like that's how this goes. It's a mixed reception, where an audience goes, yeah, I'll watch this, which is me. I'm like, I am all for well-written shows. I would pick a Taylor Sheridan show over this, but this has still kept me hanging on. I'm still watching it. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment. Obviously, get your t-shirt. I designed this, rejectnationshop.com. Go to my website, the Tara Erickson, if you want gear there. I have Dead Moms Club, Dead Dads Club gear, hats, mugs, a bunch of stuff. Just go to my website and check it out. Also, if you join me on Patreon, that's a way you can support the channel. Just $5, you'll get unlimited full-length reactions to the shows that I'm watching, which is cool and a bit of a deal, if you ask me. Burp had to come out. Sorry. I think that's it. Let me know what you guys think. I had to come on here and give you my thoughts about the good old Ransom Canyon, and we'll just see where we're headed with it, okay? All right, then. I love y'all. See you on the next one.